Well, he is very talented. Anybody that takes over a situation like he did at 26 years of age and is able to run it and run it tough, you'd be very surprised. Very smart, very good negotiator.
Really, he's got a great personality. He's a, funny guy. He's a very smart guy. He's a great negotiator. He loves his people. Not that I'm surprised by that, but he loves his people. I think he liked me, and I like him, and I understand the past. And, nobody has to tell me he's a rough guy. He has to be a rough guy, or he has been a rough person. But we got along very well. His country does love him. His people, you see the fervor. They have a great fervor. It's a great honor and privilege because he's become a friend of mine to introduce President Erdogan of Turkey. He's running a very difficult part of the world. He's involved very, very strongly, and frankly, he's getting very high marks. And he's also been working with the United States. We have a great friendship. As countries, I think we're right now as close as we have ever been. We've had a great relationship. This has been very successful.
He's a killer, though. Putin's a killer.
A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
What do you say to America's allies who worry that you might be jeopardizing our long-term alliances and who worry that you might be treating our historic friends as enemies and our historic enemies as friends?
Well, first of all, I think it's a very fair question. I had a very good meeting with the G7, and I left the meeting, and I'll be honest, we are being taken advantage of by virtually every one of those countries. I have a good relationship with Justin Trudeau. I really did. Other than he had a news conference that he had because he assumed I was in an airplane and I wasn't watching. He learned that's going to cost a lot of money for the people of Canada. He learned. You can't do that. You can't do that.
The European Union is a foe. You look at what Japan has done over the years. Germany is a disgrace. The European Union, of course, was set up to take advantage of the United States, to attack our piggy bank, right? So I used to be a fan of Merkel. I used to think she was terrific, a big leader, a great leader. I think what she did to Germany is a disgrace, It's a total disgrace. The ASEAN conference has been handled beautifully by the president and the Philippines. Take a look at some of these countries where they don't play games. They don't have a drug problem. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be. And I thought that President Putin was very, very strong. But I think we will end up having an extraordinary relationship. We're having very good discussions. Kim Jong-un, he really has been very open and I think very honorable from everything we're seeing. You got to give him credit. How many young guys, he was like 26 or 25 when his father died, take over these tough generals and all of a sudden, it's pretty amazing when you think of it. How does he do that? Even though it is a culture and it's a cultural thing, he goes in, he takes over and he's the boss. It's incredible. He wiped out the uncle, he wiped out this one, that one. I mean, this guy doesn't play games and we can't play games with him. It is a great honor to have with us today President El-Sisi of Egypt. We have worked long and hard, and we are making a lot of progress on a lot of different fronts, and we appreciate everything that you've done, and I know you appreciate everything that we've done. Thank you very much, and it's a great honor and privilege because he's become a friend of mine to introduce President Erdogan of Turkey. We have a great friendship. As countries, I think we're right now as close as we have ever been, and a lot of that has to do with the personal relationship.
Where you're talking about Trump's position on authoritarian leaders, this is something where President Trump has been pretty consistent even since he was candidate Trump. And he's been consistent both in the words he's used about himself. Remember at the RNC, at the Republican convention, when his big line was, "I alone can fix it," which is not the kind of a line you would have heard from Ronald Reagan or George H.W. Bush or other well-known Republicans. It's the kind of line you would hear more from a Suharto Castro or Fidel or, you know, some other authoritarian leader. So I thought it was very striking during the campaign. One of the most interesting polls was one out of the University of Massachusetts that showed that the single most clarifying reason that people were likely to vote for Trump in the primaries was not income, race, religion, or anything like that. It was actually whether they had a more authoritarian mindset. So I think that goes some way to explaining the president's warmth towards, for example, Sisi of Egypt and the things that he said about Duterte of the Philippines and Kim Jong-un. That one is quite surprising, I have to say. And I bet that there are some people within the Trump administration who are knocking on his door and wanting him to re-say that a different way, perhaps tomorrow.